Welcome back to Steel City Sports. So today we're going to be doing our first mock draft of the year. I'm only going to do the first 10 picks just because I want to start opening up the conversation on this channel about some of these prospects. I've talked about some of the higher end guys, like the more well-known guys, but at least talking about the first 10 picks allows us to really get into some of these guys. And keep in mind for this is not really a prediction video, like what I think the teams are going to do. It's more so what I would do with these picks if I was the GM of these teams. So whenever we get closer, we still have a couple months till the draft. Whenever we actually get closer to the actual NFL draft, I will put out a video of a prediction list. But as of right now, this is how I would draft the first 10 picks. So with the number one overall pick, I have the Chicago Bears taking Caleb Williams. So I made a video about a couple weeks back talking about what the Bears should do this offseason. One of the main points in that was to draft Caleb, move off of Fields. The Bears fans were so pissed off of me. They are passionate about their team. They love their quarterback, Justin Fields. They stick by him. But I just think from a GM perspective, this is still the right move to do. Like Justin Fields, I like him. I think there's something there. I just think it's run its course in Chicago. He has a putrid win-loss record over his career. And you can say he didn't have good stuff around him, but they had a good defense. There is stuff around them. Around him on that offense. Like Tyson Bagent this year had a better win-loss record than Justin Fields. I think he definitely needs to be developed more. I'd like to see him on a new team, especially Atlanta. I just think with the Bears, especially, you got to think about the financial part of this as well, because Justin Fields is going to need a new contract soon, and I just don't know what a realistic value for Justin Fields is at this point in time. Because every time we talk about Justin Fields, it always tends to be, well, based on potential, like what he can be, as opposed to what he is. And what he is 9-27 in his career. I don't know how much more longer you can give him. You've given him 3 years, and I still am not really sold on him. I just think Caleb Williams has higher upside. I get it. He was kind of viewed as like a can't-miss prospect coming off his Heisman year. Then this year his stock has dropped a little. He had a couple rocky games, especially the Notre Dame game. He looked bad. But I just think he has higher upside. You get to reset your financial situation. And it'd be different if they had like the 12th overall pick in this draft. Then I'd be okay with sticking with Fields. But you have the number one overall pick. You have the chance to draft a generational guy in Caleb. And with the number 2 overall pick, I have the Washington Commanders selecting Drake May. So obviously the Commanders blew it up this offseason. New head coach, new general manager. It just makes sense to go in a new direction at quarterback. I know Sam Howell had a pretty productive year just for his passing yards. Like, there was a point in time this season where Sam Howell was leading the NFL in passing yards, which I would have never seen. But I just think for the simple fact that you have the 2nd overall pick, you have a chance to get one of these top quarterbacks, you got to pull the trigger. And Drake May just makes a lot of sense. He's the most NFL-ready quarterback out of all of these. And I just don't really see a reason not to take him. Like, it seems like he just checks a lot of boxes. And this is just like a little thing on the side, is the last time a quarterback from North Carolina wore number 10 and was drafted 2nd overall was Mitch Trubisky. So that scares me just a little from a superstition standpoint, but I think he has just a lot more talent and is just more productive than Mitch Trubisky. I think he is going to work in the NFL. And with the number 3 overall pick, I have the New England Patriots taking Jayden Daniels, the reigning Heisman. They need a quarterback. Mac Jones is not good. I think Mac Jones is one of the strangest stories in the NFL because he was a Pro Bowler his rookie year, led New England to a playoff berth, and then just fucking fell off a cliff. Like, what the hell happened to Mac Jones? I'd love for like a Patriots fan to explain to me what happened there. But it's clear you need a new quarterback. It's time to just, again, I kind of sounded like a broken record with these bottom teams, but there's a reason why they're all at the bottom, is because they don't have a quarterback. They need to reset things. And New England obviously made one of the most drastic changes this offseason, letting go of their longest tenured coach in the NFL, Bill Belichick. You know, he was there since 2000 or 1990, something like that. So obviously a drastic change for their franchise. They've had one guy making all the decisions for 25 years. Do I agree with the hire of Gerard Mayo? I do not, because I think if you're going to continue the style of like the Patriot way, why the hell wouldn't you just keep Bill Belichick? Like, I don't get that. To me, Gerard Mayo comes off as like a lighter version of Bill Belichick. I'm not trying to say he's a bad coach, but I just think it made no sense to get rid of Bill if you were going to just hire this guy. For me, you know, if you listen to me, I have an offensive bias when it comes to head coach. But Jaden Daniels, I think, is enough of a playmaker, enough of an athlete to go there and overcome a defensive culture. They're definitely going to need to get him some help. Like, the offense needs a lot of work. There's no weapons, deep threat weapons. The tight ends are a mess. The running backs, I think, are good, not great. So there's a lot to clean up here in New England on the offense. But, of course, getting your main building block at quarterback, I think, would be a massive step in the right direction for the Patriots. And Jaden Daniels just has way too much upside. I think he out of all the guys, I mean, Caleb obviously, but outside of Caleb, I think Jaden Daniels might have the most potential upside in this class. And at number 4, the Arizona Cardinals are selecting Marvin Harrison Jr. This one feels like the most no-brainer out of all the ones we've talked about. The Cardinals, again, similar to these other teams, they need a lot of work, but at least they know they have their quarterback for the future, so they don't have to look at that. Going into this year, there was a lot of uncertainty, like, is Kyler going to stay? Are they going to maybe land Caleb? But that's the one big positive for the Cardinals this year, is you found out Kyler is still really good when he plays. So I think the best move for them would be going out there and getting someone for Kyler to throw the ball to. Pretty sure Hollywood Brown's contract's up this year, so no guarantee he's back. And yeah, they need a lot of help defensively, but with the 4th overall pick, there's just not a defensive talent that would warrant that being drafted here. So maybe they could be a team to trade back and try to get more value because they need a lot of players. But I think Marvin Harrison Jr. just makes a lot of sense. You know, we saw how good Kyler was when he had a pure number 1 option in DeAndre Hopkins. So if Marvin Harrison comes in as already an immediate impact player, I could easily see Marvin Harrison Jr. get cracking 1,000 yards as a rookie. I think that's a very easy thing for him to do as a rookie. It's going to be hard to turn that down, to just have that 1-2 punch with Kyler and Marvin Harrison, and that'll be able to keep them really in any game. We saw Kyler get into some shootouts this year, even without a clear number 1. So I think the duo would just be too explosive. It'd be too hard to pass on for the Cardinals. With the 5th overall pick, I have the LA Chargers selecting Brock Bowers. So this is the point in the video where now it kind of gets up in the air as to, I think the first 4 are kind of set in stone. This is where it really starts to get tricky because the Chargers, I could see them going in a number of different directions here. I could see them going O-line. We know how great those 2 tackles are. I could see them even going receiver. You know, Keenan Allen is getting up there in age. Mike Williams, I like him a lot, but he can't stay healthy, and he's also on the last year of his deal, along with Keenan Allen. And Quentin Johnston, you drafted last year, doesn't look very good. I'm not writing Quentin Johnston off yet. I still think there's a chance for him to be a good player, but really, really disappointing rookie campaign from Quentin Johnston. So you can maybe talk yourself into receiver here with Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors. I would definitely consider those guys, but overall, Brock Bowers, I think, makes the most sense at tight end. You could argue, like, drafting tight ends this high rarely works out. Like, the last tight end drafted in the top 5 was Kyle Pitts. And I think if Atlanta could redo that, they would not take Kyle Pitts with that pick, just redoing it. But I think it really comes down to Kyle Pitts just not being utilized the right way in Arthur Smith's system. I think if there are any Falcons fans listening, you can probably corroborate what I'm saying. He just didn't utilize the star players this year, especially Kyle Pitts, especially Bijan. With the Chargers, it's pretty heavily rumored they're going to get Harbaugh. So especially if he's there, I think he would be utilized perfectly to go along. If they just even get somewhat of a relative healthy season from their other receivers to go along with the combination of Bowers and Herbert at the helm, I think that can be one of the most dangerous, potent offenses in the entire league. With the 6th overall pick, I have the New York Giants taking Joe Alt from Notre Dame. I've seen some people even say Joe Alt is the best pure prospect in this draft class. He's viewed as the offensive lineman, the top offensive lineman in this class. Viewed as like a can't miss. I think he would be a great addition for the New York Giants. Now, the Giants are a team that I don't think their quarterback's very good, Daniel Jones. I just don't. I've never been a big Daniel Jones guy. When they gave him that contract, it literally killed brain cells for me. I still don't get that contract. But given how their situation is set up, I don't think they're going to be able to draft the quarterback here for 2 reasons. Number one, you are paying Daniel Jones that much money. You can't have a $40 million backup quarterback. As much as I think it's time to move off him, you just can't have that. And number 2 is, at 6, the high-end quarterback prospects are going to be off the board. So would you want to reach for a Penix at 6? Would you want to reach for a JJ at 6? I don't think so. So the Giants are definitely a team to watch to move down at 6 if they are looking quarterback, or maybe even the second round. if Penix or JJ or Bo Nix are available for the Giants with that second round pick, I would definitely be good with that. But for this, I think Joe Alt, to pair him with Andrew Thomas, would be probably one of, if not the best tackle duos in the NFL, would solidify that offensive line as one of the best. And at number 7, we have the Tennessee Titans taking Rome Odunze, the receiver from Washington. This is probably the first pick in the video where I'm going to start to get major pushback because I feel like a lot of people have Olu Fashanu going here. And I think that's a perfectly good pick as well to go with him. I've seen the Titans linked to O-line in this draft a lot, whether it is Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu. So I'm not disagreeing with that. If you have that guy, I have no disagreements. I just think I personally would take Rome Odunze. You look at the Titans receiver room, it's very thin. I like D-Hop. I still think he's a capable receiver, but he is getting up there in age. You need to address that. Traylon Burks I like, but he's not a number 1. So if you give Will Levis a number 1 here with Rome, I think he's going to be an immediate impact player. I think the gap between Marvin Harrison and Rome is not that big. So I definitely think he is one of the best prospects in this draft class. And we've seen Levis this year in a couple games really showcase that cannon of an arm. And that was one of the biggest attributes talked about Levis whenever he was coming out of going into the draft last year. So you give him a legit deep threat with Rome. I think that could be lethal for the Titans. For me, it would be too hard to pass up on. The 8th overall pick, I have the Atlanta Falcons taking Dallas Turner from Alabama. So the Falcons, for me, are one of the toughest teams to predict what they're going to do or what I would do with them because their number 1 clearest need is quarterback. They need a new quarterback. Desmond Ridder is not it. Taylor Heineke's not it. You need a new quarterback. But at 8 overall, I just don't see like a realistic guy here. Like I like Michael Penix a lot, but there's a lot of red flags with him. He's had a lot of injuries. He really struggles with his immobility, and he also played with the best offensive line in college football. So, like, whenever he was pressured, didn't look very good. His escapability was bad, and he had 3 NFL-level receivers. So there's a lot that kind of worries me about Michael Penix, especially going to Atlanta, where it's kind of uncertain who the head coach is going to be. Like, Bill Belichick's been linked there a lot. If Michael Penix, I really want to see him go to an offensive-minded culture, a team that is going to really work on developing him, because I think he can be great. But Atlanta, like with Dallas Turner, they need a lot of work on their defense. They've spent a lot of capital the past couple of years on offense, so I think it's now time to turn your eyes to that defense, especially like we just said, if Bill's going to go here, bringing in a guy who's highly productive. He had 10 sacks this year at Bama. I think he is the best defensive player in this class. So for me, the fact that there's no clear quarterback prospect here that makes sense, I think Dallas Turner would be a great fit in Atlanta. With the 9th overall pick, I have the Chicago Bears taking Malik Neighbors, receiver from LSU. So a big thing that's been talked about with the Bears is their lack of weapons. So you brought in DJ Moore last offseason. You bring in Malik Neighbors with the draft on top of landing Caleb with the number 1 overall pick. That is a monstrous recipe right there. I mean, that could be very potent. I think DJ Moore and Malik Neighbors could be one of the best 1-2 punches in the NFL if it really did pan out. And like I said with Rome, like I don't view the gap from Marvin Harrison and these other 2 guys to be that big. Like definitely I would say Marvin's the best, but these other 2 receivers are really, really good as well with Rome Odunze and with Malik Neighbors. I think they're both high-end, really productive guys, perennial Pro Bowl level guys. So getting Caleb with the number 1 overall pick and then landing another target for him to throw to makes a lot of sense. Or you could maybe go Olu Fashanu here as well. I mean, that would also make a lot of sense. But for me, I just have kind of I don't know if it's a bias or not, but these receivers are very, very lucrative to me. They're really vital to modern-day football. So to have DJ Moore and then another guy on the other side of the field with the talent of this guy is a freaking stud. So for me, it's just too enticing to pass up on. With the 10th overall pick, I have the New York Giants taking Olu Fashanu. This would be the ultimate dream scenario for the Jets if this guy fell to them because offensive tackle, I think, is their number 1 biggest need by far. I mean, what a mess they've had with their tackles. Mekhi Becton, I thought was going to be a monster, but he just can't stay healthy. He's not very good. On the other side, they had a 55-year-old Dwayne Brown. Like, it was a mess for their line. And it's been a big reason Jets fans have pointed to Zach Wilson kind of struggling. And Aaron, Aaron has never played behind a bad offensive line. When he was with Green Bay, they always had a top 10 offensive line. So even if he would have been healthy this year, there were still, we were talking about this before the season started, there were still a lot of concerns for me with that line. So if the Jets could, at 10, without having to move up, get Olu Fashanu, like I said, that would be their dream scenario. Probably won't play out that way because probably in reality the Titans are going to take this guy, but he would be awesome with the Jets. I mean, he would be their most important and best offensive lineman, putting him at left tackle for Aaron Rodgers, who's 40 years old and is coming off an ACL tear. It's just a no-brainer if he was available for the Jets here. And like I said, they might even, in reality, trade up to get this guy or Joe Alt because that's how desperate they need O-line help. But that has been it for my first official mock draft. Like I said, we're only doing the first 10 picks here, but go ahead, definitely let me know your mock draft in the comments down below. I look forward to reading those. Thanks for watching.